Hello, Gnatostorms! Don't worry, I won't be showing you any black dogs being kicked. Instead, I'm going to introduce you to Wayne Ellis, who's written a book called Kissing the Black Dog. A book which, despite its title, isn't about bestiality foreplay. Judging by the description, it seems to be a collection of his personal ramblings on treating depression and anxiety with alternative medicine. The book isn't Wayne's only creation named Kissing the Black Dog. It's also the name of his first YouTube video. However, the video isn't about treating depression by regulating the body's pH and amount of oxygen in water. I really wish I was kidding, but that is what he believes. No, the video is about another of his beliefs. The pathogens aren't the cause of disease. But I'm getting ahead of myself.
To mention one of the concepts from Kissing the Black Dog, which I believe is really important, which is water, pH and oxygen. Now, I talk a lot about it. Everyone thinks I'm a bit crazy because it's such a simple idea.
I can think of another reason, but do go on.
But many people have been deceived, including most of the health profession and natural therapists. We tend to think that the microbe or the bug is what makes us sick. Now, that is probably not true. It's probably a misnomer.
You know, that special kind of misnomer that's backed up by hundreds of pieces of scientific evidence. The germ theory of disease is a fundamental part of modern medicine for a reason. It's a very well supported theory. Its statement that some diseases are caused by microorganisms invading humans and other organisms makes a number of predictions from which hypotheses and experimental setups can easily be formed. And guess what? People have done just that. And every time they did it, the results turned out in favor of the theory. Further evidence can also be found outside the lab. When the CDC and other agencies like it are able to contain and track down the source of epidemics, that's evidence. When proper sanitation and vaccination lead to declining rates of disease, that's evidence. But you don't care about that. You think that both MDs and other alternative medicine crackpots have been deceived by some unnamed something. A claim just as unfounded as your dismissal of germ theory, only even more vague.
It's, as Anton Béchamp once said, the microbe is nothing, the soil is everything.
Antoine Béchamp was a French chemist and biologist, and yes, he did say that. Or, you know, the French equivalent of it. Béchamp lived in the 1800s, a time when microbiology was still in its infancy. The relationship between microbes and disease was still being figured out, and there were a number of competing theories. Béchamp was an advocate of the pleomorphism theory, which posited that tiny organisms called microzymes were found inside cells. Normally harmless, these microzymes would change into the microbes associated with disease if the soil, i.e. the conditions of the body hosting them, changed. Both disease and the germs associated with the disease were a result of these changes in the internal environment. Today we of course know this to be wrong. Well, most of us anyway. Béchamp's rival and advocate of germ theory, Louis Pasteur, turned out to be right. Wayne apparently missed that part of the story.
Which means it's our environment, it's what we do to our body, it's whether the body's too acidic, whether there's not enough water, whether not breathing enough oxygen. That's when microbes grow.
No, that's when you get acidemia, dehydration and hypoxemia. All of which can be serious conditions, but not because they lead to disease which we would normally call infectious. I'm pretty sure we would have noticed if they did. Oh, and yeah, depression and cholera apparently have the same cause.
That's when microbes grow. It's not the other way around.
Actually it is. Or are you suggesting that yogurt is impossible?
So if you're sick and you've got bacteria, you've got virus, and bacteria and virus can change form. Royal Rife proved that.
No, he didn't. Rife was an American inventor. Up until his death in 1971, he stood by his claims of having invented a physically impossible microscope and an equally impossible pathogen-killing beam ray. He also claimed to have used his impossible microscope to observe bacteria changing into carcinogenic vira. For obvious reasons, the medical establishment didn't take him seriously, but sadly some quacks still do. They claim to be able to cure everything from cancer to AIDS with so-called Rife machines.
There's so much information that is being hidden from us.
Really? More conspiracy theories? I don't suppose you're going to provide us any evidence for it this time either, are you? But I'm curious, does any of this hidden information explain why our immune system produces antibodies against proteins found in the supposedly harmless organisms around us? Why do we need antibodies against influenza virus proteins if the virus isn't the cause of the flu?
So next time you look at water, pH and oxygen, you might look at it a different way. Because if you keep your body's environment healthy, you more than likely won't get sick, or the body will heal faster. Just a thought.
Here's another thought. You're on a beach. Go find some fresh gall droppings, eat them, and then when you get salmonella, please explain how eating gall droppings changes the pH of your body.
And I hope you're enjoying your day as much as I am here on the beach. Cheers.
I was, until I had to deal with you. I think I need to go do something a little more intellectually stimulating, like staring into the microwave. Anyways, thanks for watching, and once again thanks to Playzon for reading over the script.